Hello, fight fans. Welcome to episode 7 of The Fight Game with ST. I'm your host, ST, and in this episode, I will be doing a review of the last Crescendo fight card. The review is long overdue. I do apologize to all listeners, but I've been extremely busy traveling. It is currently 7 o'clock in the morning in Punjab on a beautiful UK type of summer's morning. And so apologies for the delay, and let's get right into it. Starting off with the headline event, Beterbiev versus Bivol 2. First of all, my thoughts on the fight, that it was even better than the first one. What a fantastic, outstanding, world-class boxing match that not only lived up to his expectations, but exceeded the entertainment of the first fight. I felt that many other fight fans feel that the second fight was even better than the first one. And Dmitry Bivol, unlike last time, this time fully deserves to be undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. And just hats off to him, man. What a fighter, what a warrior. Halfway through the fight, I thought Beterbiev, like many fight fans, was going to run away with it. But the way he came back was absolutely outstanding. And I'm so happy and pleased for him. My live scoring was 115-113. From watching it again, I had the same scorecard, but the rounds scored a little bit differently. So let's get into it. Starting off in round one, the first two rounds, I thought Bivol definitely got off to a good start. Landing jabs, counter right hands. Beterbiev with his front foot pressure, but Bivol landing good counters off the ropes. Good combinations, clean right hands used in the combinations against Beterbiev. First two rounds I thought were a clear Bivol round. Round three I scored it as a swing round, and I'll explain why. The start of the round, Beterbiev applies his usual pressure, good jabs, head to the body, good right hands. They were partially being blocked on Bivol's guard, but you could have feel the effect of a Beterbiev right hand compared to a Bivol right hand. Beterbiev was landing those single shots, but they were definitely harder at having more of an effect on Bivol than vice versa. Bivol came back with his own counter right hand once again in combinations, landed a strong right hand in the round. I think especially towards the end of the round, Beterbiev definitely finished stronger in round three, landing a good left hook to the body to command of the right hook upstairs. And I think it's the final minute of the round, as he was doing in the first fight, the pressure that Beterbiev was putting on in the final minute of the round, as he was doing in the last fight, is what swung round three in Beterbiev's favour in my scorecard. Round four, the same again, fast start by Beterbiev, pressure, right hands, combinations. Beterbiev starts throwing combinations, combining a great left hook to the body, followed by a right hand upstairs. Counter right hand, Beterbiev right hand, Bivol to the body. But again, I thought that was a Beterbiev round. And the same for rounds number 5 and 6. I scored rounds 3 to 6 all in favour of Artur Beterbiev. Round 6 again, good. First minute, nothing much is happening. In the second minute, Bivol is landing sort of good counters, jabs right hand to the body. Final minute, Beterbiev really ranks up the pressure as he did in round 3, combining combinations. Bivol again throwing back with his own combinations, and that's what made it such an amazing a seesaw type of affair, with both men exchanging. But Beterbiev turning up the pressure in the final minute once again, landing a big right hand right at the bell, favoured that round to favoured me to score that round to Artur Beterbiev. So as I said at the start, by the halfway mark, I strongly felt that Artur Beterbiev was going to run away with this fight. Just looking at the story of the fight, you see, because going through your scorecard and justifying who the round went to is one thing, but looking at the overall story or the arc of a fight to see which way it's heading is even, I would argue, is just as important. And the story of the fight after 6 rounds is, I felt Artur Beterbiev was going to run away with it, just like he did in the first fight. I mean, he was just an unstoppable, moving force, just an unstoppable force, constantly coming forwards. Cannot be stopped, as he was in the championship rounds in the first affair. And the story of the fight was that after 6 rounds, I thought Beterbiev was going to run away with it. But how Bivol came back is truly amazing in the second half of the fight. How Bivol came back in the second half of the fight is nothing short of outstanding, and it was just a masterful display by Dmitry Bivol, to be honest. From round 7 through 11. Just a masterful display, and the way he came back in the second half of the fight, I mean, in my opinion, he definitely deserved to win. Although close, he definitely, I felt, won 7 rounds to 5. Round 7 begins and the pace significantly slows. I mean, he had to. Beterbiev was just setting a ridiculous it was setting a ridiculous pace in the prior 4 rounds, and it had to stop at some point. And eventually did in round 7. The pace did slow down. Second minute of the round, the first minute nothing much happens. Second minute, Beterbiev starts to throw right hands, but a lot of them are sort of partially blocked. However, in the final minute, Bivol comes back with his own combinations in the final minute to 30 seconds, and his clean combinations, Bivol's clean work in the final 30 seconds of the round to the bell is what favoured me to score the round to Bivol. Artur Beterbiev threw 5 right hands himself, but a lot of them were being partially blocked. He was still doing his constant front foot pressure, but the cleaner work in the final minute to 30 seconds right up towards the bell, I felt was done by Dmitry Bivol. So I scored round 7 for Bivol. Round 8 was an even clearer round for Bivol, landing punches off the rope, punches off the back foot. Pace again slows this round, allowing Bivol to get off his combinations, to get off his clean work, landing good right hands in those combinations, coming forward a lot more, landing good right hands to the head and body. So I thought round 8 was an even clearer round than round 7 for Dmitry Bivol. Round 9 begins, and I thought this was one of Bivol's best rounds, if not his best round of the fight. He starts the round fast, landing good fast combinations. Those combinations being increased in ferocity, spitefulness, landing combinations with a lot more authority and force on Beterbiev. At one point during the round, he slips Beterbiev's punches beautifully, basically turns him around, and then lands a beautiful combination with authority and force, and then walks away to admire his work. Just a beautiful combination landed by Dmitry Bivol. Once again, the pace slowing in that round, slowing down in that round, which favoured Bivol. A clear-cut round for Dmitry Bivol. In round 10, it was a quiet first minute. However, it was a quiet first minute. Counter right hand being landed by Bivol. Combinations being landed by Bivol in the second minute. However, in the last minute, Beterbiev once again turns up the pressure, landing 2 right hands, but both of them being partially blocked on Bivol's guard. Because both of those punches were partially blocked on Bivol's guard, the combinations in earlier on in the round, in the second minute of the round, is what swung that round for me in Bivol's favour. Round 11, I felt, was a clear Bivol round, and that was the difference, guys, compared to the first fight, is that in their rematch, Bivol never allowed the fight to get away with him the way he did in the first fight. He never allowed Beterbiev to just simply sweep the championship rounds, which was the case in their first contest. Round 11 begins. Beterbiev lands 2 right hands, starts to pick up the pace, starts to amp up the pressure. However, in the second minute, Bivol lands a fantastic combination, a 3-punch combination, finishing up with a beautiful left uppercut, and then a right hand, a big right hand by Bivol as he's on the back foot. And that's the thing, guys. Bivol is such a versatile fighter. He is as equally balanced on the front foot and on the back foot. And after that 3-punch combination in round 11, he then lands another beautiful right hand, an overhand right on the back foot against Artur Beterbiev. And then in the final minute, and guys, this is incredibly ballsy for a fighter to do this against a guy like Beterbiev. Bivol then gets on the inside and is willing to trade on the inside with Beterbiev, landing nice, clean, short inside left hooks, left hooks and right hooks of his own. So the final minute of the round, he's winning the round in round 11, Dmitry Bivol, and then in the final minute, he's willing to close the distance, get on the inside, and land good, clean, short hooks against Beterbiev. And I thought that was quite telling, because it's a very dangerous move to make against a guy like Beterbiev, to go on the inside and start chucking short, clean inside hooks. on the, because guess what, once you finish throwing, something's going to come back. But the fact that Bivol was willing to do that demonstrated his courage and his just willingness to win, and just willing to go there, as True Geordie would often say, are you willing to go there, that extra mile in that deep water to try and win? How desperate are you? And the fact that Bivol in the final minute of round 11, even though he knew he was winning that round, went on the inside and started trading short hooks on the inside with Artur Beterbiev, showed to me, and I think showed to the rest of the boxing world, how desperate he was to win the fight. So round 7 through 11 I scored it for Dmitry Bivol. Round 12 I scored it for Artur Beterbiev. Bivol starts the round strong in the first minute, landing good combinations, but then Beterbiev comes back in the second minute of the round by turning up the pressure again on Bivol. The difference this time being that instead of Beterbiev, turning up the pressure in the final minute of the rounds, or the previous rounds, he's now turning up the pressure in the second minute of the round as opposed to the final minute of the round, because I think his corner knew that he was behind and was urging him to win round 12. So Beterbiev starts the pressure against Bivol earlier in the round, in the second minute as opposed to the final minute, landing a jab, a right hand. So he's turning up the pressure in the second minute of the round. He then finishes the round. Beterbiev finishes the round strong in the final minute as well. So he has a good second minute, and then he has a good final minute, landing 2 right hands and a big left hook. Both men, exchanging blows, both men letting shots go. But in the end, I scored round 12 for Artur Beterbiev, just because the pressure that he applied was a lot more constant towards, in this round, from the second minute onwards, as opposed to trying to steal the round with his pressure in the final minute. So overall, I scored the contest 7 rounds to 5 in favour of Dmitry Bivol. I gave rounds 3 to 6, and then round 12 to Artur Beterbiev. I felt Dmitry Bivol was the clear winner of their rematch. At worst, this would have been a draw, in my opinion. I could potentially see this contest as a draw because there were some, close rounds in their rematch, but overall I felt like Dmitry Bivol was deserving winner. I definitely feel like he won 115, 113 on my scorecard, both live and watching it back again. I wouldn't be too pissed off with a draw, but I can't see how you make a case for Artur Beterbiev winning 7 of those 12 rounds. I just can't see that. Overall, Dmitry Bivol for me a deserved winner. Deserved to become undisputed light heavyweight champion, and just what a fantastic world class performance by the Russian, who beat Canelo and gave Artur Beterbiev his first loss. Looking ahead now, in terms of what should happen next, I'll touch on the other great light heavyweight fight later on in the pod, but there should definitely be a trilogy with both men, with both Beterbiev and Bivol, because the second fight was even better than the first one. And I think, especially for the purist fans, this will turn out to be one of those great rivalries, those great historic trilogies. Probably not quite at the level as Pereira Morales, or other great trilogies that have happened in the past. But I think it will go down, especially with the purist fans, as a historic trilogy because of the closeness of both contests and the fact that it is 1-1. So I would definitely like to see a third fight, but I would like that to be the final chapter. I don't like fights, personally, I don't like fights going past a trilogy, because I think in the history of boxing, we're sort of used to that 3-fight sort of concept. If it's 1-1 between the fighters, and then you have like a trilogy fight to decide who the better man was. Usyk Fury definitely would have had a third fight had Fury won the rematch. Queensberry would have pushed it, the third fight. Fury would have pushed the third fight. There's no way he would have announced his ridiculous retirement. He would have been in training camp as we speak for the third fight. So I definitely would like to see part 3 or Beterbiev against Bivol, or Bivol against Beterbiev now, but that to be the final chapter, and that's it. What I would personally like to see in the fall of Riyadh season this year is Bivol versus Beterbiev, the final chapter to decide who's the better man, and then on the undercard have Buatsi versus Yard, because that's long overdue in my opinion. But then to also have above that Smith versus Benavidez in just an epic night of light heavyweights. Call it the night of light heavyweights, call it whatever you want. Would love to see that. So yeah. Moving on now to the undercard, we had Buatsi versus Smith, which for me was the fight of the night, despite it being, and guys, this is how great their last Crescendo card was. One of the best cards, if not the best card I've seen in boxing thus so far. I mean, it was just the first fight, and for me it was the fight of the night, despite it being the first fight. It should have been a main event, to be honest, rather than Parker versus Piccoli, but more on that later. This was such an entertaining fight, and I think it's fair to say that if it wasn't for Joshua Buatsi's chin, the dude would have got knocked out. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he showed a tremendous chin, tremendous courage, and a tremendous set of cojones, because in round 6 he was going. There's no doubt about it. Joshua Buatsi was going. But credit to him for being able to hang in there, because he was on the verge of getting stopped, and Smith is a puncher, make no mistake about it. But just a great, fantastic fight. Both men exchanging, both men throwing caution to the wind and exchanging leather, giving a similar sort of vibe of how fights used to be back in the 80s and 90s. But ultimately Callum Smith being, the fair winner the rightful winner of that contest. Let's go more deep into it. Round 1 begins. Good inside pressure by Buatsi, but just cleaner work and cleaner combinations being landed by Smith with a great left hook to the body, followed by an uppercut and a right hand. That was a clear Smith round for me. Round 2, again that left hook to the body by Smith, a body work by Smith in that round. The body work by Smith with his left hooks, the jabs by Smith were better, so I scored round 2 as well for Callum Smith. Round 3, Buatsi comes back. Actually, Smith hurt. I felt Callum Smith was winning round 3 with a good sort of left hand, left hook to the body, uppercut, and a good headshot, good combination by Callum Smith. But Buatsi going downstairs to the body and hurt Callum Smith to the body, bending him forwards. And by bending him forwards, he definitely hurt Callum Smith with a body shot, causing him to bend forwards. And because Callum Smith was, visibly hurt in that round, I scored round 3 for Buatsi. So I've got it 2-1 for Buatsi. Round 4, I gave it to Buatsi. Buatsi comes out, lands jabs, good body work, good right hand by Buatsi, right uppercut, left hook by Buatsi, left hook comeback by Smith, left hook right hand by Smith, but I felt like the better work in round 4 was by Buatsi. Round 5, I scored it for Callum Smith. He was landing good right hands, hurting Buatsi to his body, landing left hooks and right hands, landing great combinations to the body and head, knocking Buatsi's mouth guard out of his mouth with a clean left hook. Round 5, Smith was really getting to Buatsi to his body, especially to his body, and the left hook upstairs. I thought that was a clear round for Callum Smith. Round 6 is where I thought, Buatsi, if it wasn't for his chin, and his courage and his cojones, he would have got stopped in this round. Again, Smith starts the round strong, right hook to the body, left hook upstairs, left hook to the body, and then lands a big whooping, sort of big straight right hand flush on Buatsi's chin, basically turning Buatsi's chin sideways, and he was hurt. And then Smith didn't pile on the pressure, landing more big hooks. Buatsi really struggling in that round, but thanks to his Ghana spirit, he came back strong by landing a big left hook himself towards the end of the round, which Callum Smith gave a rightful smile back to Buatsi. But I felt like the better work in round 6 was definitely Callum Smith, with the way he hurt Buatsi. Round 7 to 9, I scored it for Callum Smith. Again, just domination from him. Right hands, jabs, good right hands from both fighters in round 7, but better work being done by Smith. Round 8, jabs, right hand by Smith, right hand, left hook twice, right hand Smith, right hand to the body, right hand by Boazzi, left hook twice by Boazzi, but the better work being done by Callum Smith. So Smith, round 8, lands good jabs, good right hands, right hand, left hook twice, right hand Smith. Boazzi comes back with his own right hand, 2 left hooks, but I thought the better, busier work in round 8 was done by Callum Smith. Round 9, again, a bit more of the same, 2 right hands, left hook by Smith, right hook by Smith, left hook to the body, combinations by Smith, counter right hands by Smith, landing straight right hands, Smith landing straight right hands, clean round for Smith. Round 10 I scored it for Boazzi, counter right hand by Smith, but good inside pressure by Boazzi, good right hand by Boazzi, good body work as well by Boazzi. So round 10 I scored it for Boazzi, round 11 I scored it for Boazzi, 2 right hands by Smith, but great body work by Boazzi, causing Callum Smith to back up. Good start by Boazzi, good pressure, great hooks to the head and body by Boazzi. So round 11 I scored to Boazzi, round 12 I scored it to Callum Smith. Callum Smith landed a monstrous, huge left hook at the start of round 12, which, like I said, if it wasn't for Boazzi's chin, for sure he would have got knocked down in that fight, if not once, but several times. So Smith lands a monstrous left hook, a check, almost a check left hook, followed by a big right hand. Hooks exchanged by both fighters with a minute left. Good right hand by Boazzi in the final minute. Good left hook, right hand response by Smith. Callum Smith landing 2 right hands at the end of the round in the final minute of round 12. So I scored round 12 in favour of Callum Smith. My overall score total was 116 to 112 in favour of Callum Smith. I thought without a doubt he was the rightful winner in this contest. As I said earlier in the pod, I would love to see, in terms of what's next for both fighters, I would love to see Smith in against David Benavidez, and Boazzi, despite coming off a loss, to face Anthony Yard, because this fight has been long overdue, way long overdue, especially for British fight fans. So that's what I would like to see next, and hopefully a lot of you agree with me. Looking at the rest of the undercard, Jean Caballal, I predicted Caballal would win, and not only did he win, he stopped Zhang, which, given Zhang's engine, not really surprising. I mean, let's be honest here, he is not a 12-round fighter, he is a 4-round fighter at best. His stamina has always unfortunately been an issue for Zhang. In terms of the fight itself, in the first round, I noticed pressure being applied by Zhang, having a very fast start with his front foot pressure, but then Caballal coming back at the end of the round. But that pressure by Zhang, with a fast start that he had, I scored round 1 to him. Round 9 I scored for Caballal. I thought Cabell this time had a fast start, landing great hooks to the body, and that was the key to getting the stoppage. He never stopped throwing hooks to the body. He started throwing his right-handed combinations as well. Round 2, clear Cabell round. Round 3 as well. Great round for Cabell. He was just outworking Zhang. I wrote down he just outworked him. His work rate was tremendous. Cabell, I'm talking about. So Cabell's work rate was tremendous, landing great combinations to the body and just outworking Zhang. Again, round 4, much of the same story. Cabell just outworking Zhang completely outworking Zhilei Zhang by just breaking down Zhang's body. And once you chop the body, the tree will eventually fall, as was the case later on. Again, round 5, much of the same. Cabell domination, but then Zhang scoring a knockdown, almost a sort of desperation punch. But nevertheless, it was a knockdown for Zhang. That was a Zhang round 10-8. And then round 6, just Cabell piling on the pressure, landing tremendous hooks, punishing hooks to Zhang's body, and eventually Zhang's body could no longer take and handle the abuse that Cabell was throwing at his gut any longer, and Zhang's body had enough, causing him to take the knee, and Zhang himself had enough, and basically, in the words of Teddy Atlas, had checked out of the fight. Cabell has certainly put himself in the driving seat in terms of contesting for a world title in the future. Let's see what's in store for him next. Really quickly on Madrimov versus Ortiz. Ortiz overall, I didn't score this one too intently, I'll be honest, but I thought Ortiz overall was the rightful winner. I thought Madrimov was just waiting too long, especially in the second half of the fight, when Ortiz started to take over. I thought Madrimov had a good early start, good boxing, from the outside, good use of the jab, good use of the footwork, constantly moving, constantly doing some really good boxing on the outside. But man, in the second half of the fight, Ortiz just took over, and I wrote round 9, just sort of domination, round 12 body shots, it was quite similar to actually Bivol Bottervio, whereby Madrimov, like I said, had a good start, boxing from the outside, but in the end, Ortiz's pressure took over in the second half of the contest, and his body shots were devastating. And when Madrimov's feet slowed down, that's when Ortiz was getting to him in the second half of the fight. So when Madrimov's feet slowed down, he was forced to sort of trade in the pocket a lot more. Was warned by the referee a few times, but in the end, I felt like the right man won. Ortiz's pressure eventually paid off, especially when Madrimov's feet slowed down, and it allowed Ortiz to get off his shots a lot easier compared to the first half of their fight. Adames versus Shiraz. I felt, quite honestly, that Adames got robbed. I felt he was the clear winner in this contest. I scored this fight wide in favour of Adames. I didn't think it was particularly close. I know Frank Warren and Greensbury are going to do that usual do me a favour, but even Talk Sport, I believe, had Adames winning by 6 rounds. I had Adames winning by 8. I scored the contest 118-110 in favour of Adames. I thought he was the clear winner. Looking at my fight card notes, I can see that I wrote down throughout the fight, from the first, say, 3 rounds of the contest, pressure throughout the round, Adames, right hand Shiraz, good start, Adames, counter right hand, good comeback by Shiraz, but not enough to win round 2, good start, Adames, good jab by Shiraz, round 4, good right hand Shiraz, left hook to the body Shiraz, gave round number 4 to Shiraz. But then from rounds 5 to 10, I gave it all Carlos Adames. He basically took control of the contest. And I've just made some notes. A good pressure Adames, cleaner punches Adames, pressure Adames, domination in round 6, jabs, right hand Adames, right hands, just a busier fight in round 8, pressure throughout the fight, and then round 11 I scored it for Shiraz, because he landed the better power shots. Round 12 I scored it for Carlos Adames because Shiraz had a good first minute. Adames's work in the second minute for me was better. The third minute, nothing much happened, but I thought that Adames did the better work in the second minute of round 12, which is why I gave the final round to Carlos Adames. So my final score total was 118-110 in favour of Carlos Adames. Shiraz did not win that fight. He got extremely lucky with the draw. That was no draw. Frank Warren can say whatever he wants about the broken hand, but the fact of the matter is that Hamza Shiraz lost that fight. Yeah. Finally, looking at the final co-main event between Joseph Parker and Martin Bakole. I mean, I gasped as soon as Bakole took his top off, because I thought, my goodness me, he looks like he's had a ton of McDonald's. Yes, it was a last minute replacement, but clearly you could see he hasn't been in the gym. And the fight turned out to be a mismatch. I picked Martin Bakole to win just because my heart wanted him to win, but as soon as he took his top off, I thought, he's not in any sort of fight condition. I thought fully fighting fit Martin Bakole would have given Joseph Parker very serious problems, but quite frankly, because of how unfit he was, the contest turned out to be a total mismatch. Before Bacoli gets knocked out in round number 2, I documented on round 1. I scored the first round 10-9 for Joseph Parker. He lands jabs throughout the round, both to the head and the body of Bacoli. Bacoli comes back with one shot of his own, but clearly the busier man, the more accurate man throughout the round was Joe Parker, and he clearly won round 1. Round 2, again Parker lands clean shots. Bacoli ups the pressure a little bit more, lands a good body shot, is now basically walking Joe Parker down. Whenever Parker was backed up against the ropes, he was clearly very uncomfortable, which is why I do wonder what a fit Martin Bacoli would have done to Joseph Parker. But unfortunately for Bacoli, he kept walking on square to Parker, and Parker caused him flush with a few right hands in round 2, and I remember Bacoli just sort of shaking it off as if nothing happened. But then he repeats the same mistake again, and he walks onto a big overhand right, right at the temple, and then goes down, and then that's the end of that. Bacoli essentially walks onto a big overhand right by Joseph Parker, which lands on the temple, causing a delayed reaction before he falls onto the canvas. In terms of what's next for both men, I definitely think that Joe Parker deserves a world title shot against Daniel Dubois. I'm hearing rumours about Usyk Dubois being next, but I'm sorry, I don't think it is fair for Dubois to just, jump the queue like that. He's got to fight Joe Parker. I don't believe fighters can just jump the queue for the sake of a unification, because, he's already lost to Usyk the first time around, and Joe Parker deserves his shot at the World Heavyweight Championship, and the winner of Dubois and Parker will then be the rightful mandatory challenger, in my opinion, to face Alexander Usyk. But I don't like what Queensberry and Frank Warren are doing in terms of just jumping the gun, because Usyk can just as easily fight Caballel, who also has earned his right at the world heavyweight, having a shot at the world title. So Dubois should absolutely fight Parker next, not Alexander Usyk. The winner between Dubois and Parker fight Usyk, and Usyk in the meantime fight Caballel, because that's, Caballel deserves his shot after knocking out Zhang, and that's not going to be an easy fight for Alexander Usyk by any stretch of the imagination, because of the sheer work rate from Ajit Caballel. So, those are my thoughts on the last Crescendo. A fantastic fight card. One of the best fight cards, if not the best fight card I've seen in my lifetime. I hope this very well continues in Riyadh season. Thank you everyone ever so much for tuning in. Sorry for the delayed pod. I am travelling. I am abroad in India. If you like my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast, and please comment below. It will go a long way in terms of helping out the show. So with that being said, thank you everyone for listening in, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.